I'm going into my fifth year and I've not ever repeated myself more than one or two assignments, but I was starting to think that some repeat assignments will help make planning all the grade levels easier. I like mixing it up, would also like some tent poles to make things flow a little bit more. Any suggestions? So let me ask you first, man, are you somebody who likes to repeat lessons over and over, or do you always do new things?
I would like you to guess what I would.
I think you have a precise way of doing your particular lessons, and they go in the same order for the same grades every single year.
That is 100% correct. Not that I don't change things out or like put a new spin on a project or maybe it's a different subject matter, but like, yeah, I have a plan and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
And I love finding efficiencies in things. So actually repeating a project is like delights my brain because I'm like, okay, how can I do this better? And that
Yeah.
could also be like, okay, like the kids weren't really into this, we're switching it up, or we're switching materials, or we're switching colors. Like I wasn't one of those teachers who made the curriculum and then absolutely never deviated from it. Like we
Right.
did
Right.
switch things up, but it was always sort of in relation to what we had just done and how to make it better. So anyway, as you might understand, I totally agree that some repeat projects are okay. I would assume that you, Tim, were the opposite.
I was definitely the opposite. I am very much aligned with Michael here, where I'm always trying new things. I remember when we first started this podcast, like literally a decade ago, we had a curriculum episode, and I talked about how 75, 80% of my projects were new every single year, and people freaked out about that. They're like, how do you do that? How do you do new
Mhm.
stuff all the time? And yeah, like, I don't know. I have some thoughts on why, that maybe is not the best approach, but I'll get to those. But yeah, I will just say that I'm definitely with Michael, where I always try to do new things because that is fun, that is exciting for me.
Mhm. Okay, so let's go back to why you might want some tent poles, as Michael said, which I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Number one, it's less stress for you, right? You don't have to come up with new things all the time. It's a little easier on your brain. It's fun for families of multiple kids to see the different versions. Like there are a few projects my kids have
Mhm.
repeated. Certainly not all, but like I have both of their clay owls, and like that's so cute to me.
Yes.
It also can build excitement for younger students, right? Like, oh, like when we get to fifth grade, like we get to do XYZ, right?
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, AOE's flex curriculum could be great here. If you have a concept or a medium in mind, you could use the filters and search and see if any of those lessons kind of spark your interest.
Such
Uh,
as ceramics that I talked about earlier
Such
with
as
all of the new lessons and
ceramics.
resources.
Amazing. Okay, if I remember right, Michael teaches upper elementary and middle school. Again, plug to come to the community. Like we know each other. So I would maybe think about some touchstone assignments that would make your life easier. So for me, those were things that took a lot of planning or specialty materials, excuse me, or resources, right? Where I knew like, okay, I know exactly what I need to teach this lesson and I can just know what I need to do to prep for it. Um, Obviously, you're going to look for projects or mediums that your students have previously enjoyed. So for me, things that remained like fairly constant were often my 3D cross-curricular projects because I knew the curriculum wasn't changing, and those were the projects that were like much more involved for me. So for me personally, a couple of examples were like paper mache insects in kindergarten. That was a big project, and I knew exactly how to prep for it, how many paper strips I needed, right? Like when I needed to mix the glue up. And that was something that was difficult to figure out the first year, and then I was off and running for all the subsequent years. Also, coil pots in second grade, right? Like what worked well, what didn't, drying time, how do I get them through the kiln? Like that is a long project, especially
Yeah.
if you're only seeing them once a week. It has to be kind of down to a science. And so once I got that, it was really easily repeatable. And then we made these really cool Sumi A ink painting folded books that went with a fourth grade unit.
Yeah.
And again, like multiple, like we're learning how to paint and we're practicing, and then we're going to rice paper and we're learning how to fold and we're making book covers and we did printmaking on the book. It's
Yeah.
so involved.
Yeah.
And like that's something I couldn't have just wung and come up with. And I think that's another reason why it's good to repeat projects because you can bring a level of expertise to them each year and you can
Yes.
go really in depth and you can create some really cool multi-step multidisciplinary things because you're giving yourself like more time to develop it, I guess I would say.
Absolutely. That's actually the point I was just going to make is, think about the first time you teach a lesson. How good are you?
Right.
Probably not that good. But as you continue to repeat that, you refine your teaching, you refine your resources, you refine how all of these things happen, and you get better. And I love, like I said, finding new projects. I love experimenting. I love trying new things. And Michael, if you're the same way, you should continue to do that. But I think you should also find some things that you should repeat, and you can think through all of these new things that you've tried, that you've taught, and say like, hey, what do I want to do again? What worked? What did the kids take away from these different things? And I think just reflecting on which lessons worked really well for you, which lessons worked really well for the kids, can maybe give you an idea of what those tent poles were. Or could be for you. And like you said, Amanda, with those really in-depth lessons, there's so much you can do. But sometimes with big projects, like maybe it's not worth it. Just
Hmm.
I love the phrase, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Right.
And like, are you getting what you need out of that? And that, just kind of thinking in that way about all of your projects will give you an idea of what you might want to repeat. And if there are things that spiral, like, kids build on that knowledge from year to year, keep those things. Like
Hmm.
those are incredibly helpful. Those are incredibly worthwhile. And like you said, Amanda, with the clay owls, like if there are things that kids know, like, oh, in fifth grade I get to do this, or in eighth grade we have this lesson coming, that can build some excitement. That can build something
Hmm.
for your families and your students to look forward to. That's a great advocacy piece. And so there are a lot of reasons to kind of find those lessons that you want to be your tent poles and kind of build out from around there. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. And I would just say that repeating lessons, repeating things is not lazy. It's not
Yeah.
boring. Like if you do it right, it's efficient, it's good for you, and it's good for your students. So definitely is an avenue that's worth exploring.